All right. Shalom. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Starting off, giving all praises, honor, and glory. It goes to YAHAWAH, bahasham, YAHAWASHI, bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, double honors to the elders of Great Millstone. YAHAWAH, bahasham, YAHAWASHI, brakathum to the hopeful elect. Shalom, shalom. This your brother Taziyar Benyamian from the GMS Kansas City Church. Back with another lesson. Actually a Shabbat lesson, so Shabbat Shalom. This one's going to be entitled OTE. Alright, OTE stands for Only the Elect. Alright, I got that from my brother Mataz out of Chicago. You know, he did this spinoff of OTF, you know, Little Dirk label. He said Only the Family. But those niggas are wicked, and those niggas are not family. You know, those are just grimy niggas who know each other. Alright, really, you know, the true family is the elect. You know, the ones that were ordained from the foundation of the world, written of in Ephesians 1. Okay, these are the same spirits that have gathered back, that are being gathered back through the spirit of YAHAWASHI upon his second return on this planet Earth. When YAHAWASHI returns on this planet Earth, he will establish the eternal and immortal kingdom of Israel, a land created for the black, Hispanic, Native American, and Israelite foreigner, man, woman, and child. All right. So, yeah, in this lesson, you know, I want to start off a little bit just going into hospitality, you know, taking care of brothers, having patience with brothers, you know, because Elder Yashrawamba and Elder Benji out in Chicago, you know, they did a couple good lessons this week going into those things. And so, you know, I really just want to start off with that, and then we can flow in the spirit. You know, this pretty much is going to, you know, I want it to be like a various topics. I mean, obviously there's some things that I want to start off on, but I also want to let the spirit run and let the spirit burn, you know, here on the Shabbat. You know, get into it, Lord willing, to be edifying. You know, got a Saturday night Shabbat in the summertime. You know, a lot of things could be happening, but hey, we getting locked in with our power, and these things help get us leveled up, and these things help increase your blessings. All right, as well as showing hospitality, you know, to brothers, you know, who are sojourning or traveling throughout this wicked land, Babylon. You know, it's a beautiful network that we have with brothers to be able to, you know, have men, you know, help take care of you, support you, pretty much wherever you at in these wicked 50 states of America. All right, every major city there's a GMS camp. You know, you even have GMS camps in more rural regions, but that's just how the Most High YAHAWASHI wants us. And, you know, it's a blessing to honor the brotherhood and show appreciation, you know, to the brotherhood. But also, you know, be mindful that, you know, of what the sacrifice, you know, brothers make to have, to be able to host, you know, be able to host brothers, take care of brothers, you know, look out for brothers' well-being while they're in, you know, select towns. You know, and just being honest, you know, sometimes we get in the flesh. All right, Jake, we catch a lot of hell in our home regions. We catch a lot of hell wherever we are stationed. You know, the Most High, you know, he sent us on active duty. You know, wherever we station here in America. You know, so when we do get opportunity to you know, change scenery, to see different parts. You know, we still want to operate with wisdom, man. You know, still operate with wisdom, you know. And these are things that, you know, I can only speak on because I've been through it. All right. There's been times where sometimes we don't always operate in wisdom when we're traveling. But, you know, that really just boils down to, you know, handling the demons you have at home. You know, because if you don't have a good handle on the demons that you have at home, it's going to be obvious to, other brothers that, you're not around and you're visiting. All right. So that's just, personal wisdom that I learned. So it's good to, make sure you have control of things in your, in your battle station before you go out looking at, fine ass women somewhere else. All right. But, let's get into some precepts, man. Leviticus chapter 19, verses 33. It says, if a stranger sojourn with thee in your land, ye shall not vex him. But the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be unto you as one born among you, and thou shalt love him as thyself, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord YAHAWAH your God. Okay, so this is not speaking of every heathen nation. You got some random Moabite that show up in your town. You gotta love that nigga. You know what I'm saying? You got a random Edomite that show up in your town. You got to bring him in and invite the nigga to the barbecue. No, this is speaking of Israelites. All right? Because let's just be honest. Jake likes to travel, man. Our people are nomadic. Okay? So let's let's get a good understanding of that. What are nomadic people? Because this is what Jake is. My family in particular, on my dad's side, them niggas don't stay in one place at all, man. All right, I got family born in Missouri, but they moved to California, Minnesota, all over the place, man. All right, nomadic people are communities without fixed homes who regularly move from place to place. Historically representing the earliest form of human existence, they sustain themselves primarily through three specialized lifestyles: pastoralism, foraging, and perpetuatic trade. Now, honestly, being honest, we're going to be nomadic people in the kingdom because our enterprise is going to keep growing and growing. Obviously, you're going to have a main house. Same way the camp has a main house, but also brothers get around. We're going to have different houses, different lands. Different castles, different planets that we're going to dwell on. Okay, so we don't have any, one set location. Even here in America, this ain't our last resting stop. So we're only just passing through. Okay. Leviticus 19 and 33. And if a stranger sojourn with thee, ye shall not vex him. But the stranger that dwelleth with you, ye shall be unto you as one born among you. And thou shalt love him as thyself, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. Right, so this is a law that the wicked scribes and Pharisees were not keeping back when, Paul was bringing in the Gentile, the Israelite foreigners who were considered the Gentiles, man. All right, you supposed to have love for Jake's, 12 tribes worldwide. We not to steal Bishop Nate shit, but just being honest, you're supposed to have love for Jake's 12 tribes worldwide, man. If a brother's in the right spirit, if a brother's handling his business for the name of the Lord YAHAWASHI, hey, if you come to Missouri, if you come to Kansas City, we're going to open up the gates for you, man. Whatever you can do, whatever we can do, whatever, we can do to help accommodate brothers, to help them feel as comfortable as possible, we're going to do that, because that's the same thing brothers do for us when we travel. And that's the same thing, GMS as a whole, we do for each other. Okay? So same way we were strangers in the land of Egypt, we want to take care of brothers, who are not from our region. All right? Who may not know how to, get down with the get down of that time. So, always make it an emphasis, to show hospitality. You know what I'm saying? Show hospitality. Asking brothers what they need to, feel comfortable. All right. Now, obviously, when you visit it, sometimes you go with the flow. You go where brothers want to go. Even within those things, just be appreciative that we have Akim amongst us to do these things with. All right, and even if it boils down to you happen to stay with a brother, definitely be circumspect. All right. Elder Yashawami even broke it down as simple as to wiping the toilet seat down. Just basic things. Visiting or hosting, common courtesy. These things YAHAWASHI is pleased with us for, because we don't act like niggas, man. All right. Niggas go out of town and get on complete bullshit. Good example is fucking Little Dirk. Since the title is OTE, we're gonna use an example from OTF. All right. Little Dirk and then fucking Chicago niggas, when they went to Atlanta, they got worse. They picking up cases, killing niggas, shooting niggas, robbing niggas. They did all that. There wasn't no hospitality amongst them, man. So yeah, that's part of the lesson, OTE, because only an elect, Lord, and once again, Lord willing, we be the elect, but only a man of the Lord is going to treat you like a man of the Lord, man. Only a man of the Lord is going to be as considerate for another man of the Lord. Okay? Because being honest, it was a time that this world treated us like shit, man. And the only love and the only appreciation and the only comfort and acknowledgement that we can get was from brothers, man. Okay? And brothers who do host, brothers who have, the camp house. All right? Brothers who may contribute more financially. Or even brothers who do better, more like orchestrating and coordinating things. You get blessed for those things. All right? Because when things run smoothly, the spirit is involved, man. Okay, so we want to keep the spirit involved so things continue to run smoothly and not go off our flesh and not go off our feelings, what we feel like doing, what we feel like seeing, what we feel like experiencing. No, let's see where the spirit takes us. It's like the wind. All right. Some trips you take may not always be how many bad bitches can I see? And even if it's not a trip, sometimes if you fellowshipping with brothers, it may not be a, let's go find where the baddies at. Sometimes it just might be a walk in the park and brother just may need to talk. Sometimes a brother just might need a smoothie. He don't want no hard liquor. Whatever it is, but we want to make sure, our time with Akim is edifying and is beneficial for our spirits, man. And we don't cause offense. All right. So let's read this. Matthew 10 verse 40. He that receiveth you receiveth me, and he that receiveth me receiveth him that sent me. He that receiveth a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward, and he that receiveth a righteous man in the name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man's reward. Okay, so we always have to prepare ourselves to receive brothers, man. And we got to know different brothers got different styles and tastes and different things that they like. All right. If you ask me, I like to hang out where I can get some snow. I like to hang out around snow bunnies. But if a brother come through in Kansas City and say he want to get on some dark chocolate, guess what? We gonna make sure that brother get around some dark chocolate. And it ain't always about women, but brothers got certain preferences, man. Hey, I remember this. Elder Uriah out there in Chicago, when he came out here, he said he don't like no American wine. Okay? And so, hey, Lord willing, if the spirit have it or if the spirit don't, if the Elder Uriah comes back out to Kansas City, we gonna make sure we have him some international foreign wine, man. All right? But that's just coming from a spirit of, wanting to receive brothers, wanting to accommodate brothers, and remembering the communications that we have with each other, man. Okay? Brothers in larger camps will always tell you that you got to know your brother. All right? You got to know what certain strengths and weaknesses, likes and dislikes the man next to you has, man. Because if we don't understand the brother next to us, then things aren't flowing smoothly. Okay, because one brother may require more communication than another brother. Some brothers need to be reminded more frequently than other brothers, man. And that's not saying that it's wrong, but we have to have an understanding of the men that we're dealing with and how we need to approach and communicate with each other, man. Some brothers is more forward. You know what I'm saying? It may seem like, if we have a council, we may get harder on one brother than other brothers. But, the leadership has understanding that a certain man can take a, certain rebuke over another man, because, rebukes happen, correction happens. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean that a brother is wicked because he get rebuked or he gets corrected. You know what I'm saying? But when those things happen, we want to make sure that there's always that opportunity for the brother to bounce back and to grow and become better, because that's what it's all about, man. Brothers don't rebuke each other to just kill your spirit, man, to get you to get out the truth. Some brothers just gotta be confronted on a certain level so that they can look inwardly. You know what I'm saying? Look inwardly and correct things in their spirit so that the whole body can function as smooth as possible. All right, so let's read it again. Matthew 10:40. He that receiveth you receiveth me. He that receiveth me receiveth him that sent me. He that receiveth a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. And he that receiveth a righteous man in the name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man's reward. And whosoever shall give to drink one of these little ones a cup of cold water in the name of the disciple, verily I say unto you, he shall in no wise lose his reward. Okay? So that giving the brother a cup of cold water, it's just essentially just about comforting him. Giving him what he needs at that time. Whatever it may be. And obviously, this lesson is OTE. This is speaking of only the elect. Lord willing, we be those men, speaking of how we deal with each other. But obviously, we bring this precept out when we speak of helps of the prophets. All right, because there's going to be people that arise that turn out to be helps of the prophets, that turn out to give us shelter, give us water, give us food, give us certain resources that we need to continue the ministry, continue the spirit, Lord willing, until the end. And, those people who do those things for the prophets will be rewarded. All right, because I know we be making jokes. At camp, if you deal with a woman, you got to get her credit card. But, hey, there's a reward for that. All right. If a woman's dealing with you and she helped take care of things that you need taken care of, man, she lets you get, run the credit card, do whatever, drive the car, whatever it may be, man. As long as she stays in order, she can be blessed for that. All right. And there's also going to be men that become servants to the prophets, not on some weirdo wicked nigga shit, but the spirit of the Lord will have men so compelled to serve that they start listening to the prophets. Because especially if it get down to the time where we can't go out and street preach, how are those men going to get their charity? Well, you're going to get your charity by helping out the church, man. All right. So let's read this. 1 Peter 4 verse 1. For as much then as the anointed has suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind. For he that suffered in the flesh has ceased from sin. So we all gotta suffer in the flesh, man. So we gotta understand that. So brothers who do travel and you do get on vacation, hey, it's an opportunity to get away from your environment, man. And you should definitely take full advantage of that. All right, don't be afraid to have a good time just because you're not around brothers you used to. All right, because even when we get around brothers we ain't met or brothers we not used to being around, it still feels familiar because we still have the spirit of YAHAWASHI, which makes us all have something in common. All right. For as much then as the anointed has suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise in the same mind. For he that suffered in the flesh has ceased from sin, that he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men, but to the will of the Most High. Right. So brothers who travel to certain regions, the Most High is having them live out his will, because there's something that the brothers hosting can learn, and there's something that the brothers visiting can learn. And when it's edifying and it's a beautiful experience through and through, you feel uplifted. It says, for the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles when we walked in lasciviousness, lusts, excesses of wine, revelings, banquetings, and abominable idolatries, wherein they think it strange that ye run not with them to the same excess of riot, speaking evil of you, who shall give account to him that is ready to judge the quick and the dead. For this cause was the gospel preached also to them that are dead, that they might be judged according to men in the flesh, but live according to God in the spirit. But the ends of all things is at hand. Be ye therefore sober, and watch unto prayer, and above all things have fervent charity amongst yourselves. So it says have fervent charity, man. So you're supposed to be hot to wanting to do things and be wanting to serve. That's really what it means. Fervently wanting to serve, each other, as having fervent charity amongst yourselves. All right. Carpooling, even if it's paying for brothers' drinks, even if it's coming, just being there with brothers, man. Okay. Have fervent charity amongst yourselves, for charity shall cover the multitude of sins. All right. And we all have to acknowledge that we are sinners. Everybody has to acknowledge that we are sinners. We messed up. We have a tab to pay. We have to acknowledge that. And so the way that, we can get covered for those sins is putting energy into the body, and not just ourselves and our flesh and the things that we want and feel like doing. Okay? Use hospitality one to another without grudging. All right? So if a brother came to Kansas City and we didn't have any place to place him, which we definitely have places to, have brothers stretch out their legs, but if it came down to it and brothers have to stay in my place, I can't be like, oh man, what the fuck? I don't feel like doing all this. I don't feel like having nobody in my house. I can't do that. All right, I gotta have the spirit of, you know what, man? YAHAWASHI calls his brother to come here of all places, and he ain't got nowhere to stay but here. I would love to have him. What does that brother want to eat? What does that brother like to drink? You know what I'm saying? What temperature on the thermostat does that brother like to have it on? That's how I'm thinking. Well, not just me, but that's how we should think. All right, even when it gets down to detail oriented, because the Most High is detail oriented, man. All right, so when we pick up on certain things that help the body run smoother, they become common practice. And that's a standard of hospitality that we show amongst each other, man. Okay, as every man had received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. When steward means the servant, that means a servant, man. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of God. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which the Most High giveth. Right. If you're going to minister, if you're going to serve, do it to your ability, man. If you can't pick that brother up, say something, man. If you can't host that night, say something. If it's not on your spirit to host that night, say something, man. If the spirit is telling you that you probably want to go to a different spot on a certain night, say something. But everybody has their ability, man. All right. If there's brothers that are visiting from out of town, you should definitely clear your schedule to the best of your ability to meet up with them, man. All right. We don't want to pass up on our opportunities for charity. Don't sleep on that. All right. Even if it's not a elder, you know, or a brother more receiving, even if it's a younger brother that's traveling to your region, still make the time for that man. All right. Now I understand brothers may come through during the work week and you didn't woke up at 6 a.m. You know what I'm saying? You woke up at 6 a.m. and worked the whole 8 hours, and then you get last minute notice brothers coming through. You may not feel like it, but hey man, just get up. Why not? You know, because the Most High brings us around each other for a reason. Okay, it said that the Most High in all things may be glorified through YAHAWASHI the Anointed, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Right. So when we take care of each other, OTE, only the elect take care of each other like the elect. Lord willing, we be those men. You know, YAHAWASHI, more importantly, is glorified because he is the one that woke us up to this knowledge of who we are, how we should conduct ourselves, and how we should, you know, prevent ourselves, or, you know, how we should take care of ourselves, you know, through each other. You see what I'm saying? But getting to some other topics, getting to some other things. Probably we're at 26. Yeah, we'll probably make this around 35 minutes. Getting to some other topics. Going to that OTE. I was getting to that Ephesians 1. You know, it's really one of my all-time favorites, but it really brings everything home, man. You know, Ephesians 1 verse 3. Blessed be the God and the Father of our Lord, YAHAWASHI the Anointed, who have blessed us with all spiritual blessings in heavenly places in the Anointed, YAHAWASHI. You know, so we are. Each brother has spiritual blessings. Each brother has a level of spiritual power, man. Some brothers is good at discernment. Some brothers is good at rebuke. Some brothers is more like motivational brothers. Some brothers is more like informational brothers. Like they know different facts about different things. Some brothers is more tapped into nature. Okay, some brothers is more on the creative side and have more of an active imagination. You see, these things help give us all salt and flavor. You know, and us as one man in this whole machine and body, we have to learn as much as we can from each other. Because we always have to remember, and we always remind ourselves that there may be a time where we may not be around each other. Okay? Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord, YAHAWASHI the Anointed, who have blessed us with all spiritual blessings in heavenly places in the Anointed, according as he had chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love, having predestinated us unto the adoption of children by YAHAWASHI to himself, according to the good pleasure of his will. So let's deal with that. Predestinated. Predestinate definition. Predestinate, to decree, decide, to or ordain beforehand. Where's my Merriam-Webster? Yep, there we go. To foreordain to an earthly or eternal lot by destiny or divine decree. Right. So that brother's in the truth because YAHAWASHI wants him in the truth, man. All right. That brother's in the truth because the Lord want him in the truth, man. So we may come from different regions. We may have different ways of doing things. Some brothers are more forward. Some brothers are more relaxed. Some brothers are more talkative. Some brothers are more reserved. But remember, if we be those men, the Most High wanted that man for a reason. Most High chose that man for a reason, man. And it's our job to help keep each other on fire. You know, keep our priorities in line for the Lord, so that each man can receive his crown and his reward. But at the end of the day, that brother's gotta walk his walk. Same way we gotta walk our walks, man. So I know there may be small differences amongst the camps, different disagreements. Even if it's not amongst camps, it may just be, different disagreements among brothers, because that's what it is. Different disagreements amongst brothers. But we have to remember, YAHAWASHI chose us. Well, he called us out of the world, and we're hoping all to be chosen. Okay? No man on this earth can say that they're chosen yet, because no man on this earth is on them chariots yet. You see, we're all trying to get there. So, if a brother come to your crib and something get broken, forget him, man. It's all going to be burnt up anyway. If you come to my crib and break my PS5, bro, I might be a little hot at first, but I got to remember, this shit is just missile food. I know you didn't do it intentionally, If you come through, you forgot to wipe the seat on the toilet, I ain't gonna do a video on you, bro. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna put you on the hot seat, man. But that's just a level of mercy, that has to be shown amongst us, because end of the day, we want YAHAWASHI to show us mercy, man. So let's see if there's some more scriptures about predestination. And then we'll get a few scriptures on predestination, and then we'll wrap it up. So we got Ephesians 1. So Romans 8:28. And it's 10:44 right now. Call Allah YAHAWASHI. Romans 8, verse 26. Likewise, the Spirit also helpeth our infirmities, for we know not what we should pray for as we ought, but the Spirit itself maketh intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered. Yeah, some brothers just need to get around other brothers. And he that searches the hearts, knowing what is the mind of the Spirit, because he maketh intercession for the saints according to the will of the Most High. And we know that all things work together for the good of them that love the Most High Yahweh, to them who are the called according to his purpose, for whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his Son. Right. And no brother is done being conformed into the chariot. No brother is perfect. No brother is flawless. No brother is ultimately clean, man. Alright? But through the Spirit and power of YAHAWASHI, we're cleaning ourselves every day. We are refining ourselves every day. We in that fire of affliction to be made perfect every day. And Lord willing, the Most High is pleased with the finished product, It says, for whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn of many brethren, among many brethren. Moreover, whom he did predestinate, them he had also called. And whom he called, them he also justified. And whom he justified, them he also glorified. Right? We can't go to YAHAWASHI and be like, man, YAHAWASHI, man, I don't think you should choose that brother. I don't think you should want that brother in the camp, bro. Whatever it is. You can't say that, because that's the Lord's choosing. The Lord justified that man. We want the Lord to justify us, despite our shortcomings, man. You see, and the reason I'm doing this lesson, so that we can have more love for each other and more charity, and so we all can grow together, because let's just be honest, this world is going to turn cold against us. You know what I'm saying? This world is going to make us public enemy number one. And you're going to cherish the brotherhood when that time comes. Alright? Because Esau losing bad. And Esau definitely needs to change the direction and the attention off of him. So he's going to put it on the street speakers. He's going to put it on the church. He's going to run his media campaigns. He's going to run his slander campaigns. He's going to run his defamation. He's going to get his agents active to make us look bad so people can hate us more than they hate him. But it's going to backfire, man. Because the men of the Lord will get spiritual powers. Lord willing, that be us. The men of the Lord will get spiritual powers. All right. American society will collapse. There will be civil war. There will be world war. YAHAWASHI himself will return in an angelic force. And he's going to beam up his elect. And we pray that there may be any sincere brother that calls on the name of YAHAWASHI that's handling their business. Wherever you station deployed, active duty. Keep handling your business. Keep growing. Keep fighting these demons. You know what I'm saying? Keep rebuking these devils. And watch how the Lord work. And Lord willing, we all end up in that same room, man. Because when we all get in the chariot, everything going to be forgiven, man. Little alts, little petty bullshit. But even, the sins that we have with YAHAWASHI, those things will be forgiven too, So with that, Lord willing, this edifying. All praise, honor, and glory goes to YAHAWASHI. Shalom.